Good evening, welcome. You're watching Left, Right and Centre. The latest now on the Political row, the crisis of Maharashtra politics. Two more senior MLAs from the Shiv Sena are expected to be in Guwahati in support of the rebel leader Eknath Shinde. With this, it's absolutely clear Uddhav Thackeray is in deep trouble. Earlier today, there was a show of strength, a video which we can bring you now, showing that Mr Shinde had the support of 37 Shiv Sena MLAs. In other words, he's in a position to split the party without getting into trouble with the anti-defection law. He is essentially the Shiv Sena leader along with those other MLAs who are supporting him. But the bottom line is this: the BJP is going to be a key factor going forward. This is not just about the Shiv Sena. It may be about them now, but the BJP is the key. Will the Shinde faction go with the BJP? Will Uddhav Thackeray, faced with no option, be willing to ally with the BJP? A move which Shinde supporters could hypothetically support. One way or the other, a floor test appears imminent. All of the details on what exactly the number situation is. Let's just take a look at this report before we start our big debate.
Okay, let's now talk about the numbers, because ultimately it all boils down to the math. And we've been saying this for the past 3 days, and the math is continuously changing. So we're having a tough time with the calculator here. But first, let's get you these two images. Images of Shinde's 34. This is an image from Surat. And then Shinde's 42, which is an image from Guwahati. And this number is only increasing. We are being told that from 42 it will increase further. Let's now quickly take a look at the math and first let's quickly put up this display to show you that image that you see on your screen right now of Shinde's 42, of which 37 are from the Shiv Sena. This is enough to be the real Shiv Sena in the assembly, which means Mr Shinde can now, with the help of this strength, say that he is the Shiv Sena. Shinde's 42 rebels have 37 Sena MLAs and 5 independents. The minimum that is required to claim to be the new Shiv Sena or the only Shiv Sena, he has the numbers. He can say, I am the Shiv Sena, and Thackeray's faction is now a minority. Imagine, Uddhav Thackeray in a meeting today only had 13 MLAs with him. So he is the minority now. You need 37 for the anti-defection law to not apply. He has 37. And if he is to be believed, more people are joining him. Let's take a look at how the assembly is going to look. On the screen right now, you see that the real Shiv Sena of Uddhav Thackeray is left with just 13 MLAs. 37 are with Eknath Shinde in Guwahati. 5 are still unaccounted for. We do not know where they are, whether they will go back to the real Shiv Sena or with the new Shiv Sena. NCP, which was at 53, 2 of their MLAs are in jail. If they are allowed to vote, then in the case of a floor test, this will become 53. But otherwise, right now, their strength is 51. Congress is at 44. The BJP at 106, SP at 2, and others at 27. So the total is 285, and the majority mark is 143. Now, if they get to vote, if the new faction gets to vote, they can align with the BJP, and the BJP can form the government. It is possible. If you do the math, you will realize that it is possible. They can get in some support from the independents also, and I guess that seems to be the plan as of this moment. Before that, they have to write to the governor. So in that context, let's put up this information. Next, what happens next? Shinde is likely to approach the governor because he has the numbers. He can say, look, I am the real Shiv Sena. Here are my numbers, and let's have a trust vote. And then he can decide what he wants to do next. Unless, of course, the emotional appeals or the other appeals, eventually where is this trust vote going to happen? It will happen in Maharashtra, in Mumbai. And once these MLAs land in Mumbai, what happens if many of these MLAs who are in Guwahati choose to support Uddhav Thackeray? That is why we feel the suspense continues and picture abhi baki hai.
picture abhi baki hai or not, we are going to have to wait and see. It could all actually unfold very, very quickly. Aman Lekhi, former Additional Solicitor General and Senior Advocate in the Supreme Court with us. Ravikiran Deshmukh joins us. He's a senior journalist. Vijay Krishna of the Shiv Sena. Rajat Sethi, the political analyst, and Dr. Seema Malik of the NCP, all with us. Let me go straight across first to Vijay Krishna. Mr. Krishna, is the writing seems to be on the wall. What is Uddhav Thackeray waiting for? Does he not want to resign himself?
Sir, whatever news either you gather or I myself gather is from the media. But the real issue is that all the political pundits opine is that any majority or whether the government is in minority is proved in the floor of the assembly. So today we may debate on these issues for hours together, but the issue is about defection. Why out of the blue suddenly
doesn't answer my question. You're a Shiv Sena leader, and I'm asking you on that basis. Is the resignation of Uddhav Thackeray at all likely at this stage, or does he still enjoy support at one level? It's just the configuration, the political configuration of the Shiv Sena presently, which is the problem. The fact that he's become close to the Congress and the NCP politically.
Sir, these are the fleeting moments. We can't say those MLAs who are under the control of Shinde ji.
Yes.
When once they enter Maharashtra, they may also repent and suddenly join. Please, the picture abhi baki hai. What I'm saying is, he is the incumbent minister of Maharashtra, and all the lakhs of Shiv Sainiks in Maharashtra support Uddhav Sahib as the true inheritor of Bala Sahib Thackeray's legacy. And I'm telling, just because you hold
nobody is
37
asking
MLAs.
Uddhav ji to not be in the Shiv Sena, by no means. But there would be a bigger role for Eknath Shinde. You would possibly have to align with the BJP. Is that where it's going?
Sir, I've been following closely the statements made by Sanjay Rao ji. What we are looking at, these 37 rebel MLAs are like they are the members of our family. So the best efforts we've been making
were members of your family. They've gone away now.
No. It happens. We have extended an olive branch to them, and to the extent that I feel very sad that my leader is being dictated by a person who had an humble origins and who was an auto driver, and he was given the top portfolio of urban development minister and 20 years of wonderful career. And today the three-wheeled Mahavikas Agadi
I just want to go across to Dr. Seema
because
Malik.
of these ambitious.
I'll come back to you, Vijayji. I just want to go across to my other panelists. Dr. Seema Malik, where does this leave the NCP at this stage? Are you still, optimistic about clawing back, the Shiv Sainiks who've gone to keep the alliance alive? Do you think that's going to happen?
See, Vishnu, we are very optimistic, and the thing is this, that the truth remains that they will have to prove this on the floor of the House. If they want to really buck the anti-defection law, and we are with the Mahavikas Agadi. We say
Dr. Malik, do you seriously expect 40 plus MLAs many of whom have actually flown in the last 2 days to actually change their minds again? Are you not hoping against hope?
We cannot ignore the statement of Nitin Deshmukh also. And we cannot ignore the allegations of kidnapping the MLAs also, and let them come to Mumbai. We will have to wait and watch that what happens really.
Okay.
Because it is very unfortunate that in a place like Assam, the Chief Minister is busy in poaching these MLAs and for this horse trading, and the people of Assam are suffering. There is no electricity, no.
Right, you're talking about the flood situation. All right. Okay. Let's focus on Maharashtra for the moment. We've got, obviously the flood situation in Assam, a matter of huge concern. But let's just, for the moment, look at the Maharashtra situation. Aman Lekhi, let me come to you, sir. I'm just going to run through 3 scenarios with you, and just share your legal advice or your understanding of the situation from a constitutional standpoint. So, scenario number 1: Eknath Shinde approaches the Deputy Speaker to recognize the rebels as the real Shiv Sena in the assembly. My only suggestion is the Deputy Speaker has a list of office bearers of the existing Shiv Sena, right? And therefore, he would have to take a look at that and say, no, that's not, the names now being proposed are not the names which exist. So could that be a problem?
I have a slightly different take on the entire issue because I personally feel that none of the players have actually quoted themselves in glory. And in fact, you brought a lawyer in this entire show, but I feel a law is in fact hoodwinked by political shenanigans. And why I say so, each of the players here is actually unconcerned about the law. If you look at the Shiv Sena and the NCP, insofar as the combination is concerned, it had the option and a very clear option to proceed insofar as disqualification is concerned, because that was squarely attracted. But they chose not to do that because they would have been in some way imperiled because the majority requirement have come down. You had on the other side the rebels who could have actually claimed, as they were claiming, that they were in fact outside the defection law and actually approached the deputy speaker to recognize the fact that this is in fact outside the defection. But they chose not to do that too.
Right. And
as far as the governor is concerned, the governor remained out because of the ambiguity. Now, I was just hearing the comments which are coming here and the occasion for the confidence which at some point of time Mr. Pawar is actually showing. And that's because insofar as these particular MLAs are concerned, they have actually to come to Mumbai and have to in fact be present before the deputy speaker and Maharashtra, and they have to present themselves for the speaker. So I presume, because the requirement of law is basically twofold. One, as far as those claiming that they are outside defection, they'll actually submit it before the deputy speaker, who will actually have to decide where the issue will come in, where the Supreme Court has actually failed in the Karnataka case in not setting a timeline for the speaker to decide, which can prolong this particular issue.
Right.
The Supreme Court also failed in the Madhya Pradesh case because the MLAs are not in Maharashtra, but they are in Assam.
Okay.
And one of the issues was that whether in fact they could be access to them. The Supreme Court said that's not our concern. On both counts, as far as interference is concerned, enforcement of law is concerned, we failed. Be that as it may, the situation as it stands today is that insofar as these particular MLAs are concerned, one, the speaker will have to decide whether it's fact outside defection, outside the disqualification or 2 of Schedule 10, 1.
Right.
2, if supposing it is so, and the governor has got this particular right that follows from the Supreme Court, the governor can order a flow test.
Right.
And the governor can order a flow test in which will be only made to decide whether in fact the majority is actually there. Though of course the circumstances clearly suggest and the conduct of the incumbent chief minister clearly shows that he has lost confidence in himself altogether, because shifting out of the chief minister's residence is not
clear.
something which in any way belies any confidence of a person claiming to be... Exactly, it's almost a resignation. Though of course you cannot, in terms of law as it stands, you cannot just act on that particular basis, because should the governor so act, it will be struck down immediately, because the place is in fact the Legislative Assembly. In which event, third scenario would be that if supposing that's failed, then of course an alternative government will be an option to form. The alternative government would be there. Failing which is a very unlikely scenario. Failing which, there will be dissolution of the assembly. But what I really want to emphasize here is, because everyone is talking about the law, it is not a question of law, it's a question of propriety and ethics. And in fact, as far as this particular conduct is concerned, across the political spectrum, law is in fact listless, and it is this petty politicking which is actually ruling. And even now, it is not because of the law, but because of the manipulation which I guess Mr. Pawar may be having in mind insofar as maneuvering a majority is concerned, which will in fact either save or condemn this particular government. The law will come into the picture only at the fag end, when everything happens and the issue comes before the court to decide who is right and who is wrong, which would be more or less something which is a denouement. I got absolutely no real bearing on this controversy.
Okay. Rajat Sethi, it's quite clear that Eknath Shinde appears to have the numbers now. The fact that he's choosing not to go back to Maharashtra and to take advantage of the support he has, does it actually indicate that some of the leaders may actually be there against their will, number one, and number two, a tie-up with the BJP, whichever way, shape or form it takes, hasn't really been firmed up. Would that be your reading?
Well, Assam and Guwahati are all part of India, and anybody on its own individual volition can go to that part of the country. There is no special visa requirement to go into Assam. So, if Eknath Shinde feels that he's more comfortable going there and there will be less duress on not just him but his supporters, why not? Where is the moral question?
I'm suggesting, Rajat, that we are beyond that point. I'm just saying that he has the numbers. Why isn't he going back?
No, absolutely. I think right now what is happening is he's just adding on to his numbers. As we can see, every single moment that is passing. Right now, there was some media reports which says that there are 14 members of parliament Lok Sabha members of parliament of Shiv Sena which are on their way to Guwahati. He wants to show his strength. He's pretty much entitled to do that. He's doing it. He's collecting 400 corporators of Shiv Sena. He will come lock, stock and barrel and ensure that the entire Shiv Sena is left of only Uddhav Thackeray and Aditya Thackeray. If he can prove it, he's not going to China. He's well within India. He's doing that. Once he's comfortable, he'll come in and show his numbers on the floor of the house, which actually matters at the end of the day.
Okay,
Go ahead,
Rajat.
The moot point here is that this is a template. This is a template which every dynastic-run parties should be wary of. This has opened up a new chapter in our Indian political system, wherein dynasties and one family-run political parties cannot take things for granted. They will have to create merit-based space, and this is good and healthy for our democracy. This is one big takeaway, and I really hope that merit-oriented leaders across political parties, across regional parties can actually take it.
No, Rajat, it's all very well to take on the dynasts, which is what many in the BJP or those who support them. That is their go-to political position. But be that as it may,
that's a moral question.
But what about the role of the BJP, Rajat? What about the role of the BJP in Op Lotus? In Maharashtra, after Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, it's very clearly the BJP playing, which has all the cards. The program should be about the BJP, not the Shiv Sena.
But Vishnuji, you are such a seasoned journalist. You know one thing. Just yesterday, both NCP and Congress together came in and passed these remarks, slyly by the way, that we are ready to support Eknath Shinde as the chief ministerial candidate.
Yes, they did.
See, essentially, you need to understand what's the reason. The reason is they understand that this is a powerful leader. He can rally all of the
They want to save the government.
No, of course. Then this doesn't mean that this is being articulated or orchestrated by the BJP.
No, they are willing to support Eknath Shinde. But would the BJP be okay with that?
No, I mean, see, BJP, this is what I'm trying to tell you. Where is the BJP in the implosion of the Shiv Sena's house?
No, so are you suggesting that the MBA will survive? Rajat, are you suggesting the MBA will survive?
See, I'm just talking about how the situation is evolving. Did the NCP not say this
No, they did say it. They did say it,
right? Which
they did say it, yes.
They trust Eknath Shinde has been able to, cobble up the numbers, and he can lead the Mahavikas Aghadi.
All right, okay. See, Dr. Malik, Dr. Seema Malik, what Rajat seems to suggest, I don't mean to put words in his mouth, but from what I understand of him, is that this is still a bickering within the Shiv Sena. Eknath Shinde is the go-to man. He is the strongest leader right now. And based on what the NCP and the Congress are actually saying, that they're willing to back Eknath Shinde, is that a political configuration that you see likely? That Uddhav Thackeray may have some other post, Eknath Shinde may be the chief minister, and you're going to have to align with him.
We are supporting Shiv Sena, and it is this thing that who will be the chief minister candidate or this thing. This is their internal matter. We are nobody to suggest this. They are. This is the fight between the family and the two brothers, and we are no one to suggest them something like that. So they are going to decide this, and I'm very sure that they will solve this problem.
What role does Sharad Pawar play in all of this? If there's any master in Indian politics, it's Sharad Pawar. What is the magic card that he's going to play, Dr. Malik?
See, he very clearly said that we are supporting MBA, and the same thing, like the floor test is the most important thing. So wait for that only.
All right.
Unnecessarily,
wait for the floor test. Eventually, that has to be that seems to be a given.
Some hypothetical situation.
But we are all hypothetical, no.
so there's no point.
It has to be hypothetical. But Ravi Kiran Deshmukh, let me come to you.
Analyze the things like this.
No, we have to analyze the things like this. I mean, if governance is the bottom line, there is no government virtually in place. And even if there is, for how much longer? So, I mean, we need to look at all scenarios. This is your government. I mean, it's fallen to pieces over here, Dr. Malik.
Yes, wait for some time, Vishnu.
All right, okay, all right.
It's not so easy to,
No, it's not easy. I accept. Ravi Kiran Deshmukh, I tend to disagree with what Rajat was saying. I feel that the BJP has an active role, without which Eknath Shinde wouldn't be sitting first in Surat and then in Guwahati. What is the role of the BJP going forward? And is it not true, or do you not believe that if there is a break of the Shiv Sena with a faction led by Eknath Shinde, Shinde isn't going to become chief minister. It will be a BJP chief minister. Shinde is going to have another role.
Yeah, because many people are saying that BJP might accept Eknath Shinde as the leader of the party, and they may install him as the chief minister, but that is not the fact. We have already seen when Uddhav Thackeray said in 2019 that it was decided to share chief ministership of Maharashtra for 2.5 years. That time also, senior leaders of BJP from Delhi, they clarified and clearly said, see, we have projected Devendra Fadnavis as the chief minister of Maharashtra. We can't accept your proposal, and we have never promised you the same thing. That is the fact.
Right.
See, another thing, as you said, whether BJP is playing any role in the present scenario. Practically speaking, BJP has deputed at least 2-3 leaders, those who are accompanying MLAs right now.
Right.
Means first group of MLA went to Surat, where we have seen BJP state president C.R. Patil from Gujarat. He had a meeting with a group of MLAs. And when they were shifted to Guwahati, there also one of the MLAs from Maharashtra, BJP MLA from Maharashtra, is still camping over there. And also a couple of office bearers are already there. So it makes it clear that
the BJP is absolutely hand in glove with what is taking place.
Yes,
All
can say like
that. Okay,
yes.
I'm running short on time. I just want to go back to Vijay Krishna, the Shiv Sena leader. Vijay Krishna, one last question to you, and be honest about this. How many leaders is the Shiv Sena in touch with in Guwahati, and realistically, how many of them want to come back or wish they weren't in Guwahati?
Sir, I don't have any intelligence about the happenings in Guwahati, but I can surely say that once these MLAs come out to Maharashtra, they will definitely repent. And if you permit me, I will recite a Sanskrit sloka. Na abhisheko na samskaraha simhasya kriyate vane vikramarjita satvasya swayam eva murgendrata. Nobody will coronate you as a king of the jungle. I believe Uddhav Sahib is a real inheritor of Bala Sahib Thakeray's legacy, and this is if Shinde ji still dictates terms to Uddhav Sahib. I will tell you, Mumbai is a mini Kerala. There are 2 crore voters nearly, and in the entire Maharashtra there are 10 crore voters. We are happy. Aditya Thackeray ji is a youngster. He exceeded fairly well as an environment and forest minister. He worked so hard for climate control. We are happy. We accept the challenge, but we are saying,
in fact, what you do say, Vijay, actually does reflect what a lot of the core strength of the Shiv Sena is. The Shiv Senics on the ground, the rank and file of the party seem very much to still hold Uddhav ji in good stead. Be that as it may, the numbers don't appear to be with him at all. And it has to be said, Vijay ji, you continue to hope against hope, but that's your prerogative. I'd like to thank our panelists very much for being with us. A quick couple of comments which have come in on coup. Atul says, is this the end game for the Aghadi government? Naveen says, now the only option left with Uddhav is to join hands with the BJP and save his party in Maharashtra. Some would suggest that that is almost inevitable going forward. Not immediately, but perhaps sometime next week, by the time things start getting figured out, that we would see that eventuality. We're running out of time. There's a lot more coming up right here on NDTV.